My name is Erica. Last week, my world was turned upside down when I found 43 voicemails on my phone from my family, people I hadn't heard from in 7 long years. I sat there, holding my phone, staring at that number as if it were a foreign language. How could they reach out after all this time, and with such a demand? As I started listening to those voicemails, each one said the same 2 words, "Come home." No apology, no acknowledgement of the years of silence, just a simple demand. It was as if the past 7 years hadn't happened, as if I was still that broken 20-year-old girl in their toxic household. Let me take you back to how I got here. I grew up in a family that seemed normal on the surface but was full of toxicity beneath. My mother, Clara, was a controlling and critical woman. She had a way with words that could cut like a knife. If I made a small mistake, she'd never let me forget it. And if she hurt me, she'd act as if it never happened. My father, Henry, was the silent type. His silence was like a heavy cloud hanging over the house. He never stood up for me, not even when I was clearly in the right. It was as if he was afraid to go against my mother. I also had a sister, Lily, and a brother, Max. They learned from our parents. Lily would roll her eyes at me and dismiss my opinions. Max would just sit there and say nothing, but his silence was as hurtful as their words. I tried so hard to make things better. I went to therapy, hoping to find a way to communicate with my family. I had countless conversations with them, trying to explain how I felt. I even wrote letters, pouring my heart out, and slid them under my mother's bedroom door. But she'd just hand them back to me, unopened, without a single word. The breaking point came on a Wednesday. I had just received the news that I got accepted into a prestigious art program in another city. I had worked so hard for this, for 2 long years. It was my dream, something that was truly mine. I came home, excited, ready to share the news. But before I could even finish speaking, my mother looked up from the kitchen counter and said, "You'll give up. You always do." My father didn't even look up from his newspaper. Lily laughed, and Max just stared at me blankly. That was it. I went upstairs, packed a single suitcase, and took the $250 I had saved from my part-time job at a local coffee shop. I left the house at 3 a.m. Standing at the bus station. I didn't cry. I was too numb, too tired of the pain. After I left, they spread the word that I was unstable. They told our relatives, neighbors, and old family friends that I had abandoned my loving family for no reason. And because I wasn't there to defend myself, that false image of me spread like wildfire. Those 7 years were tough. There were nights when I ate instant noodles because I couldn't afford anything else. Winters were especially hard. I worked 2 jobs, one at a bookstore and another as a freelance graphic designer. I'd come home so exhausted that I didn't even have the energy to cry. But there was also a newfound peace. I woke up in the morning without the dread that used to fill me. I started sleeping through the night. I could finish my sentences without constantly apologizing. I slowly started to become myself, the person I had always wanted to be but was never allowed to be at home. I built a small, quiet life. I had a few close friends, and I was proud of my work in the art field. I had my own apartment, filled with my art pieces. It was a life that was truly mine. Then, last week, my sister Lily was at a dinner with a colleague in the art industry. The colleague mentioned a project and pulled up a name on the screen. There was my name, my face, and my portfolio. 7 years of hard work, right there in front of her. When she got home, she Googled me. I don't know what she saw first, maybe my art website, or an article about my latest project in a small art magazine. But whatever it was enough. She called my mother, screaming, then my father, and then Max. And that's how I ended up with 43 voicemails in 24 hours. As I listened to those messages, I realized that they didn't care about me. They just saw my success and wanted to claim me as theirs. It was all about possession, not love. I didn't call them back that night. Instead, I called my therapist. We talked for an hour, and she reminded me that in a toxic family, guilt and love can feel the same. The pull I felt towards the word home wasn't towards them, it was towards the ideal family I had always dreamed of but never had. I decided not to block them, but I also didn't respond. I wrote in my journal for hours, about who I was at 20 and who I am now. I wrote about that $250, the suitcase, and the bus station in the middle of the night. I wrote about all the small, unglamorous moments when I chose myself. I haven't gone back, and I'm not sure if I ever will. I'm not going back to that toxic dynamic, to a family that made me feel like I didn't matter. But I've started to think about what a relationship with boundaries could look like. It's not for them, it's for me. I've learned that healing is a daily practice. Even when those 43 voicemails are sitting on my phone, and each one sounds like a siren call of home, I know that the life I've built is real, and the person I've become is mine. If you're in a similar situation, somewhere between leaving and figuring things out, know that the life you build in the silence is valid. No voicemail, no matter how many, can take that away from you. That's my story, and I'm still writing it. If it resonates with you, if it makes you feel seen or less alone, please subscribe to this channel. Every week, I share real stories from real people going through the toughest parts of life. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and come back. Because the next story might be the one that changes everything for you.